Chapter 1. They're not selling you a car. They're selling you something much more expensive. Wait a minute, before you even start the car, can you lose thousands of dollars? Yes. And the strangest part is most of the people who do this go home happy that day, because they truly believe they made a great deal. Now I'm going to ask you a strange question. What do you think car dealers sell the most? A car? No. Most of the time, they sell you a number. And that number is usually this: only $299 a month. That's where the whole story begins, with those two words. Only, have you ever thought about how many times in your life you've overspent because of this word? Just a coffee. Just a subscription. Just a small installment. On its own, none of them hurts. But when they all add up, you don't notice your wallet quietly emptying. And here's the interesting part. This doesn't only happen with cars. When buying a phone, when buying furniture, even when planning a vacation, we're inside the same game. Because the human brain doesn't like thinking about total cost. It likes the monthly payment. Today we're going to break that down together. But first, I want you to meet two people. Jake and Marcus. Both live in the same city. Both earn about $55,000 a year. Both walk into the same dealership on the same Saturday. They look at the same car, same color, same trim, same salesperson. They're probably even drinking the same coffee. From the outside, everything looks exactly the same. But the moment they get up from that table, their lives start to diverge. And neither of them notices. A piece of paper is placed in front of Jake. The rep smiles. Today's your lucky day. Only $299 a month. A different offer comes in front of Marcus. $522. At that moment, even the air in the room changes. Jake thinks to himself, I did a great job. Marcus is probably asking himself, am I doing something wrong? Now be honest. If you were at that table, which would you choose? You don't need to say your answer out loud. Because the vast majority of people make the same choice. And that's exactly why millions of people end up in the same financial cycle. Here's what's interesting. For the first 3 years, Jake really does look smarter. His friends admire his new car. His monthly payment is lower. His car is under warranty. He has no repair worries. Life looks good. Marcus, meanwhile, pays more every month. And on top of that, his car's value keeps dropping. At first glance, the winner of the story is obvious. But this is exactly one of finance's biggest traps. The first glance. Because money doesn't show its true face at first glance, it shows it over time. And what I'm going to show you today is much bigger than the leasing versus buying debate. Because the subject isn't cars. It's how our brains get tricked. Why small monthly payments look like great opportunities to us. And why millions of people willingly make the same mistake every day. In a moment, we'll uncover the real numbers together. But let me give you a small hint right now. What will change your mind by the end of this video won't be some big secret. It will simply be math that no one has ever fully shown you before. And believe me, once you see that math, you'll never look at a car offer the same way again. Chapter 2. Your brain is playing this game against you. Now, let's do something interesting. You don't need to close your eyes. Just imagine. Picture a sales advisor sitting right across from you. He leans toward the table. He turns the computer screen toward you. Then he says a single sentence. Only $299 a month. Did you notice? No one told you the total price of the car. No one said, how much will you pay over 10 years? Because at that moment your brain stops doing math. It starts feeling instead. This is exactly where marketing is at its most powerful. Most of the time people make decisions not with numbers, but with feelings. Then they defend those decisions with numbers. This doesn't only happen when buying a car. The same thing happens at the grocery store. When we see a discounted product, we say, I needed this. Yet, maybe 5 minutes earlier we didn't even know it existed. We change our phones. The old phone still works. But we convince ourselves because the new one's camera is a bit better. Our brain wants first, then starts producing logic. Leasing is built exactly on top of this psychology. The mistake Jake made wasn't stupidity. It was actually quite human. Because when you put $299 next to $522, the gap looks huge. You feel like you have an extra $223 left in your pocket every month. And your brain immediately starts calculating. I'll go out with this money. I'll put a bit more budget toward vacation. I'll even invest it. Here's where I'll ask you a very honest question. Would you really do that, or would that money quietly go to restaurants, online shopping, small subscriptions, expenses you'd never even remember? Most of us know the answer. Because the issue isn't earning money. It's money disappearing without being seen. And that's exactly why a low monthly payment is so dangerous. The money you think you're saving, most of the time isn't actually being saved. It's just being scattered elsewhere. Throughout the first year, Jake feels great. His car is brand new. Every morning he gets in, that new car smell is still there. Does something break down, the warranty covers it. He goes to the service center. He drinks his coffee. He gets the keys back. Life is good. Marcus's story, however, is very different. He pays more every month. And every time he checks used car prices on his phone, it lowers his mood. Wait, what? Did the car I bought just last year really lose this? This is exactly the point where a person starts thinking, I wish I had leased. And to be honest, for the first 3 years, this thought is completely normal. Because everyone is looking at the same thing. The monthly payment. No one looks at the invisible side. And this is the biggest problem with financial decisions. People don't see the cost, they see the flow. If the money going out each month is small, the total cost feels small too. Behavioral economics gives this various names. But forget the technical terms. Because you don't need to be an academic to understand this. It's enough to know this. Your brain is wired to underestimate long-term costs. This isn't your fault. But the bill for that mistake lands entirely on you. Now we're getting to the most interesting part of the story. For 3 years, everyone thinks Jake is winning. Jake thinks so too. And the sales advisor wanted you to think exactly this from the very beginning. But at the end of the 3rd year, something so quiet happens that most people don't even notice it. There's no big crisis, no dramatic event. Just a single signature is signed. And that one signature determines the fate of the next 10 years. In a moment, we'll put Jake's and Marcus's numbers side by side. And right at that moment, you'll see much more clearly why people repeat the same financial mistake over and over. Chapter 3. Everyone gets it wrong at the same point. Okay, let's pause the game now. Because up to this point, everyone is asking the same question. Which one is cheaper? Actually, that's the wrong question. The right question is, when will this decision start making me money? And most people never ask this question at all. Now, let's look at Jake's 3rd year. He made his monthly payments for 3 years. In total, he spent about $13,000. Marcus, over the same period, paid about $22,000. The gap between them is nearly $9,000. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? This is exactly the point where most people close the video and make their decision. Okay, leasing makes more sense. But if you stop the story right here, you'll have only watched the first half of a movie. The real story starts now. Jake goes back to the dealership. He hands in his car. The sales advisor smiles when he sees him from a distance, as if greeting an old friend. Welcome back. Our new model has arrived. This time the screen is bigger. Fuel consumption is lower. And again, here come those 2 words. Only $299. Did you notice? No one mentions the tens of thousands of dollars you paid over 3 years. Because the system doesn't talk about the past, it only talks about today's monthly payment. And the human brain loves exactly that. Today. Now. This month. But wealth isn't built this way. Wealth is built from the traces today's decisions leave years later. Jake has 3 options in front of him. Buy the car. Hand in the keys and walk away. Or sign a new lease contract. Let me tell you a prediction now. Most people choose the 3rd option. Do you know why? Because by now the payment has become normal. The $299 that stung in month 1 becomes ordinary by month 36. Just like a phone bill. Like an electricity bill. Like a Netflix subscription. It arrives every month. IT gets paid. And it's forgotten. This is exactly the quietest trap in the world of finance. People get used not to their debt, but to their payments. These two are not the same thing. Let's go back to Marcus. He's still paying. Yes, But every installment he pays brings him closer to an end. There's a date on his calendar. Month 60. When that day comes, everything will change. Jake, on the other hand, has no such date. Because his system is like an escalator. It goes down. Then it goes back to the start. It goes down again. It starts again. From the outside, you look like you're moving. But actually, you're going around in the same place. Now let me give you a small example. Imagine you're on a treadmill at the gym. You run nonstop for 40 minutes. You sweat. You get tired. Your heart races. But when you step off, you're still exactly where you started. For most people, leasing works exactly like this, without them feeling it. You make payments. The car changes. The contract changes. But the payment never leaves your life. And now the moment that changes the whole game arrives. Year 5. Marcus pays his final installment. He might not even celebrate. But without realizing it, he crosses one of the most important thresholds of his financial life. The next month his salary lands in his account, and for the first time, all of that money belongs a little more to him. Jake's salary also lands in his account that same day. Then a quiet notification arrives on his phone. $299 charged. He might not even look at the notification. Because by now this payment has become the background noise of his life. And the most dangerous human habit is starting to think recurring expenses are normal. But the story doesn't end here either. Because what you're about to see is even more expensive than the monthly payments. The hidden costs that dealers almost never talk about, mileage limits, return fees, $100 bills coming from a tiny scratch, and those small clauses that people almost never read when signing the contract. That's exactly where the real math actually begins. Chapter 4. The real bill arrives on the day you return the car. Now the advertisement is over. Real life has begun. Because everything we've talked about so far was actually the visible part of the story. The real costs are hidden where people almost never talk. In the contract's smallest print. Think of it this way. You drove your car for 3 years. You went to work. You went on vacation. You did the grocery shopping. You dropped the kids off at school. In other words, you lived a normal life. Then the day comes to hand in the keys. The inspector starts examining the car. First, he checks the tires, then the rims, the doors, the seats, the windows. And the details you never cared about suddenly start costing money. That little scratch, do you remember? It happened last summer in the parking lot. Back then you said, never mind, it's such a tiny thing. But now, that tiny scratch can turn into a bill. This is the interesting side of finance. Some mistakes don't hurt when they happen. They send you the bill months later. And it's not just scratches. You took a vacation. You went to visit your family. You drove a bit more on weekends. And before you knew it, you'd gone over the mileage limit. Maybe a few thousand kilometers. Insignificant to you. But not according to the contract. And every one of those extra kilometers is quietly racking up a charge. Now ask yourself this question. Can you really live your life according to a mileage limit? A friend calls. Let's go together this weekend. What will you say? Sorry, I'm running out of mileage. It sounds funny. But thousands of people are thinking exactly this. Because sometimes the contract starts using, not the car, but you. And here there's a very important distinction. I'm not telling you leasing is bad. Because for some people, it really can be the right choice. If you're a business owner, if you have tax advantages, if you're planning to use the car for a short time, or if you're buying a very expensive car and don't want to fall out of warranty coverage, leasing can make sense. The problem isn't leasing. The problem is why leasing was chosen. If the only reason is a low monthly payment, that's exactly where you need to stop and think again. Because a low payment doesn't mean it's cheap. It just means it's easier to accept. This is exactly the point where financially strong people think differently. They don't look at the price tag. They look at the total cost. Because they know, a decision that looks cheap today can be the most expensive decision tomorrow. Let me give you an example. 2 friends go to the same restaurant. One pays the bill up front. The other splits the bill into 40 small pieces. Do you think the meal got cheaper? No. Only the way of paying changed. Car financing often works exactly like this. The payment gets smaller. The pain decreases. But the total cost stays right where it is. Sometimes it even grows. The human brain doesn't notice this, because our brain avoids big pains, but it gets used to small pains over time. And that's exactly why millions of people make car payments for years. They think it's normal. They even say, that's just life. Maybe it isn't. Maybe what feels normal to us is just a habit we've been repeating for a long time. Now we'll bring the whole story together in a single table. 10 years, 2 different decisions, 2 different bank accounts, and the tens of thousands of dollars gap that forms between them. Once you see that table, you'll most likely never look at a monthly payment figure placed on the table by a salesperson the same way again. Chapter 5. Real wealth doesn't start with earning more, it starts with paying less. Now, let's go back to the very beginning. Jake and Marcus both walked into the same dealership. Both looked at the same car. Both drove the same road home. But 10 years later, they were no longer in the same place. Jake experienced that new car smell 3 times. He got new keys 3 times. 3 times he thought, I got a great deal. But every 3 years, he started over. New contract. New signature. New excitement. Same payment. Marcus's story, seen from the outside, was more boring. He drove the same car. For a while, he paid a higher installment. Sometimes repair costs came up. Sometimes he thought, I wish I could switch to a new model too. But at the end of year 5, something very important quietly happened. He no longer made a monthly payment to anyone for his car. And this is exactly where the wealth most people never notice begins. Because financial freedom isn't earning a bigger salary. It's having a payment leave your life forever. Think about it. Your salary lands in your account. This time no one takes a car installment from you. That money is now truly yours. If you want, you invest it. If you want, you pay off debt. If you want, you grow your emergency fund. But most importantly, the right to choose is now yours. Most people, however, experience the exact opposite. Before the salary even lands in the account, the money's owner is already decided. Rent, credit card debt, subscriptions, and the never-ending car payment. And then we say the sentence, saving money is so hard. Maybe the problem isn't saving money. Maybe the problem is that we give away most of the money we earn each month before we've even earned it. This is why wealthy people ask this question first. What will this decision earn me 5 years from now? Most of us, however, only ask, how much will I pay this month? The 2 questions look very similar to each other, but they take life to completely different places. I also want to say this clearly. This video wasn't made to tell you never lease. Because under the right conditions, leasing can make sense. If you're a business owner, if you have tax advantages, if you specifically want to drive a luxury car under warranty coverage, leasing can be the right choice. But is that really the reason behind your decision? Or is it simply that the monthly payment looks small? This is the question that makes the difference. Because ads show you the monthly payment. Math shows you the total cost. And in the long run, math determines the winner far more than ads do. Today, I want you to leave this video with just one single idea. Next time someone places a small piece of paper on the table and starts with, only per month, don't answer right away. Stop first. Then ask this question. So what will the total cost of this be for me? Maybe that one question won't get you a discount today, but it can earn you tens of thousands of dollars over the next 10 years. Now I want to leave you with a question. If you walked into that same dealership today, would you decide like Jake or like Marcus? Just write one name in the comments. Jake or Marcus? I'm genuinely curious. Because sometimes the best way to find the right answer is to first see how each of us thinks. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here we don't just talk about investing. We explore together the psychology behind money, how our daily decisions change our lives years later, and why wealthy people get completely different results from the same money. See you in the next video.